of Bangor recently announced plans to close the homeless encampment Camp Hope by the end of this year.
Sierra Whaley spoke to a displacement consultant who hopes to knock down the stigma around homelessness.
Right now, we are mopping while it is raining.
Bangor city officials announced the closure of the homeless encampment Camp Hope by the end of this year. Amanda Richer, a displacement consultant, traveled to the Queen City for a biweekly group meeting at Penobscot County Cares. However, the work that she does advocating for the end to homelessness nationwide is personal.
And I base my work on the fact that I ended up having to live through homelessness myself.
Richer experienced homelessness as a child and says when she experienced it as an adult in Seattle, Washington, it was a situation she never thought she would be in.
I'm a 5-time traumatic brain injury survivor. And so when I got to Seattle, I needed to go there for the neurorehabilitation. And so what happens if you don't have an income and are leaving, a DV situation is you end up on the streets. So I ended up underneath a bridge while I underwent neurological rehab.
Richer says everyone has a different story. She's working to not only provide resources to communities, but to end the stigma around homelessness.
I would say people are fighting for you. You are worthy of safety. You are worthy of care.
She hopes city officials and community members understand this doesn't just affect the residents of the encampment, it affects all of us.
Act as if you actually care about the cohesion of your community and the safety of its members. Because if one of us isn't safe, then none of us are safe.
Bangor city officials say they'll connect the 73 residents with support services and housing. Sierra Whaley, WABI TV5 News, Bangor.